Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here yet again. Finally, going to be talking about 1923. First off, let me say this. If you guys have not watched that episode, go check out that episode. It's about almost 2 hours long. And you better be ready for one heck of a ride because the entirety of this episode, going into this, I was I saw leaks online before watching this, and again, that was my own fault, but I don't get upset with the leaks like other people do. I got more frustrated on how the story was going to go because, and I'm not really going to talk about, every little detail. I'm going to pretty much just overview everything. So, my entire, I think it was finally good that we got to see the action of what we were wanting, but it just took so long. And granted, I understand that during that time frame, it takes a long time to get from one area of the world to another area of the world. It is not like how it is now. Yes, it still takes time, but it's going to take a lot longer. But dude, it took the entire almost 2 seasons to get Spencer from Africa all the way to Montana. And this dude, let me tell you, this guy wrecked Banner's crew slash Whitfield's crew. Banner got what was coming to him. Now, granted, in the end, he tried to do the right thing. He tried to get his family on the train. He saved Jacob. Jacob, kept the promise of leaving his family alone. And even though the rest of the ones were taken out by Spencer, and then, of course, the Wranglers, and then even by, Kara and Elizabeth, and then, of course, Jacob and the sheriff and everyone, it was like, okay, and then finally Whitfield. Let's talk about Whitfield for a second. I'm gonna get into the other things I think, but then I'm gonna get into the main stuff. Dude, why was this guy so focused on everything? Why did they focus so much on this man? All he literally did was be a disgusting piece of garbage of what he did to these women. That's all he did. And you wanted to focus on this? Dude, you could have literally Terrell Sheridan, you could have literally just figured out, okay, hey, this guy's gonna do it again. We're gonna go on to the next scene. But no, you spent more than 10 minutes on this, dude. So I don't see the point of that. The guy finally got what he deserved. Him, Spencer delivering the final shot. I think he was owed that. And at the same time, then burning down the house. I think that was some Red Redemption shit. I'm gonna say that now. That was some Red Dead Redemption shit. If you guys played the second one, you guys know what I'm talking about. Um, John finally, not John, yeah, Jacob finally retiring at the end with Carr. I think that was understandable because, again, him being older and him being 80. And of course, he cannot do the things he was going to do. And Spencer taking over to pretty much be the new leader of the family, I think made a lot of sense. Elizabeth leaving, I kind of figured that was going to happen, but it's still okay. Is she still pregnant? Does she have a full term? Who knows with Jack's child? Jack dying, it didn't really affect me a lot because I felt like Jack was just there to be an extra hand and an extra character that really didn't seem like he was going anywhere. It just seemed like he was more annoying than anything else. Elizabeth, she didn't really bother me too much. It was more along the lines of she got more than what she bargained for, and she had issues handling everything. And then she finally, after everything was said and done, I think she was just like, okay, I gotta go. And Carr gave her blessing, and she knew that she was gonna move on with her life. And then going into I think I was saying Tiana Rainwater, her finally getting off scot free by the judge. Again, everyone was gone. Everybody was, they were dead. They were gone, and finally showing that she was free, especially admitting to everything she did by the local law enforcement, and then being able to go free, free. But what gets me though is I did not see the point of that story for this story because it was like, okay, you put this in here, you could have put this in its own story and done something a little bit different because she never met any of the Duttons. She never made nothing, no connections to really nobody of of the story. So it made me wonder, what was the point of telling this story about this poor woman that went through everything? And it was like, dude, you could have done this completely different. Now to the main thing. I think I am in agreement. I think everyone can agree with me. Alex dying, and again, spoilers, pissed a lot of people off. It pissed me off. It pissed so many people in this fandom off that you put this woman through everything, literally hell and back, and then some, and she passes away from frostbite, giving birth to her child earlier than expected, and having that ripped away from her. That hits home for me. Because if anyone does not know, I've lost two children. So that is hard. And seeing I felt for Alex and Spencer. I truly did, because I was like, dude, I was rooting for you guys. I was rooting for them, because it was like, what in the hell? And Tara Children, dude, you're gonna have a lot of hate. You're gonna have some hate, because I'm gonna tell you this now. There has not been now a perfect, or I would say a good ending to anything Yellowstone wise. The first Yellowstone, not a good ending. 1883, not a good ending. 1923, not a good ending. And I know people may love or hate Elsa for doing the overtalk. I am not a fan of Elsa. You guys should already know that. I thought she was all kinds of the word. And learning how Spencer is going, got with a widow, had another child, but he never remarried. And that was his choice. Again, Alex was the love of his life, so he had every right to not marry again. I wouldn't marry again. I've already said this. I would not be able to marry again if something happened to my wife. I wouldn't be able to marry again. I don't know what I would do, but I couldn't marry again. I've already said if my marriage never worked out, then I would never marry again. And everyone's guessing, oh, it's Rainwater, oh, it's Elizabeth. Honestly, it could be Elizabeth. It could be someone different. It could be someone different for all we know. And of course, him passing away 45 years later, so it makes you wonder. Okay, so he was probably the dude was probably what, in his mid to late 20s maybe for the story, and then 45 years later, so he probably died in his mid to late 60s maybe. And him having two children, John, I'm assuming the second, and then whatever the child he has. So going into from what I've heard, it's confirmed in 1944 that we're going to be possibly seeing Spencer. We're possibly going to be seeing his oldest son, possibly the second one, possibly who he got with, and Carr and Jacob. Obviously, they're not going to be there anymore. Their time has passed, unfortunately. The rest of the Wranglers, they're probably gone, from old age. So there's probably going to be new hands, and probably some more stuff's going to happen. I firmly believe that John the Second is obviously Kevin Costner, John the Third's father. I firmly believe that. Either he could be his father or his grandfather. So I believe either Spencer is either the great great grandfather or the great grandfather between John and then of course Beth, Casey, and all the other kids. But I think we can all agree that a mix between Spencer and Alex really went into Casey and Beth. I will be the first one to admit that. I don't know what it is with Tara Sharon with his stories. He has women go through a lot of crap. I don't know what it is with his stories. He literally puts women not only through the ringer, but literally to the point of, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. To that degree of storytelling. And right now, since 1923 is going to be gone, 1944 is probably going to be happening. A Rip and Beth spinoff is possibly going to be happening. And then, of course, still him doing Tulsa King, and then a possible maybe season 3 of Lioness. So I don't know what's going to be happening, but the dude's making bank. And Landman filming season 2, which I'm still going to be watching as well. But Tara Sheridan, I don't know what your issue is, man. From everything that I hear, I don't even know what to say. Like, I mean, you got an interesting way of storytelling, but you really piss off a lot of people. You piss off a lot of fans. And you took out one of the best characters in Yellowstone. Then the way you did 1883. Then the way you did this story. I don't know how much longer this Yellowstone fandom is going to be able to back you up because of killing off characters the way you've done. And that's going to piss off a lot of the fandom, and me included, and among others that still in my family that watch anything Yellowstone related. Because, again, it took me a while to get into Yellowstone, and then I got into it, and I really got heavily into it. But it amazes me that this story ended the way it did, because everyone, including me, was like, okay, hopefully Alex gets there. Spencer goes off, takes these guys out, and then they raise their child, and then we're going to see the line start and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, no, that ain't going to happen. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, there could have been different ways you could have wrote this. Her getting on that train with the two people she met. That could have happened. Or them getting a train in Chicago. That could have happened. I don't know what to say. I'm disappointed in this. I don't like the ending. It heavily upset me. I know it heavily upset a lot of the people in the fandom. And I hope everyone at least has an opinion about this. And we're going to have to wait and see what the future holds in store for this franchise, for these characters that are still around as far as we know. We know, I think, that Spencer is possibly going to have dementia at some point due to him losing his memories of, I'm assuming, Alex and the war and his family. And my best guess is that he passes away either at home or on his wife's grave, because that's the way it looked. The way they ended the story was them being reunited in heaven, I'm assuming. But this was crazy, and I got to give a lot of credit. I got to give credit to Harrison Ford. I got to give credit for the actress that played Carr. I got to give my hat off to the one that played Spencer, the one that played Alex. Their acting was out of this world. And I think every last one of them deserves some type of, not only an Oscar performance, but a standing ovation and everything else. That is my honest opinion. What do you guys think of 1923 for the finale? Let me know your thoughts. And let's see what happens more in the Yellowstone franchise, everyone. I'll see you on the next one.